Welcome to the Retay Roundtable podcast, brought to you by Retay USA. I'm your host, Jesse. Hey, I'm trying to record a podcast over here.
So why switch to Retay?
Sounds like drill.
Michael's here.
Hold on a second.
I've got the guys from.
I gotta okay it apparently.
Oh,
there we go.
Now we've got technical difficulties.
Now we're good.
Okay, now that we're really here, because Jesse says it's okay.
We're good. My apologies.
we can start this thing. So, welcome to the Backwoods Life / Retay podcast.
Absolutely. This is going to be a first. Well, so we had split some time with Dennis and Billy with Dr. Doug, and that was our first ever podcast. Complete train wreck. So this one, now that we've got you here, this is going to be so much smoother. We actually didn't record ourselves, had to use their audio, so on and so forth. So really on this episode of the Retay Roundtable podcast, we are splitting time with the one and only Michael Lee.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys are
Absolutely.
here. So I was contemplating on how to word all of this since we're doing a co-podcast,
right?
Yeah. So you're my guest and I'm your guest.
Absolutely.
And now we just have to talk in I guess do we talk in third person like the Michael Lee like that?
I think that'll be good.
Yeah. Hey, as long as everybody out there is listening, we're good with it. We don't have
it doesn't matter, right?
Absolutely. We don't have much of a sales pitch to give. That's kind of our thing. We like to sit back and talk and have fun. So
I'm the same way. So, I mean, with all that being said, we'll welcome everybody that's listening to this on both sides of the fence here from Retay's world and Backwoods Life world. And you guys, I want to commend you because we're also recording this on Zoom for video to roll out on YouTube and stuff. The Retay brand is not lacking on the video side.
We are trying. What it is lacking is our two ugly faces in it. That's what it's lacking. So we like to put pretty people in it. That's why yourself and all the guys that we have out there do that work. So
that's why I've got photos in the background to distract people for other things to look at. So
we just wear beards. That's all we do.
There you go.
Hides the ugly.
When you guys aren't old enough yet, it'll turn this color eventually.
It's the lighting in here, trust me, because we're both already kicking that way.
I blame all of this side on my first 5 years in the outdoor industry. This side, the next 5 years, in the middle is the previous 5 years. So
well, that's scary because we're in year 4, right? So we're filling out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
well, guys, I'm glad we could make this thing happen. Definitely. I know it's going to be back and forth and somewhat off track just because we're breaking new ground of back and forth questions here.
Absolutely.
So I'll just leave it, and I got people spam calling me like, I'm busy. Don't you know we're working here? Come on, people. But welcome to my world.
Yeah.
And then I get FaceTime wants to jump up and open up on my computer. So
I'll bring some more people in. Come on.
Yeah.
We'll just bring a bunch of people into Zoom.
Yeah, that probably wanted to extend my auto warranty or something like that. So that'd be a great one to have on.
We've been looking to talk to you about your audio insurance. That's what we need right now. It's audio insurance.
Audio insurance. That's exactly what we need. No money back guarantees on this thing. That's it. So again, thanks for being on here. Jesse and Will, by the way.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure we establish everybody's names on this.
You're the one who's known around here. I'm just Jesse and he's just Will. We just work here. So,
well, I'm just Michael. I stay in my dungeon here until I go shoot stuff. That's kind of what I do. I'm reclusive to the world.
No, not a bad gig. I wish sometimes we could hide. We're actually breaking ground as well. This is the first time we're recording in the new Retay podcast studio.
See, now I feel like I've got to step my bar up a little bit. I got to hang stuff on the wall or something.
What you don't know is this is actually just our office with a backdrop in it. So we wanted to cover the walls up a little bit for you.
That's all right. So to catch everybody up, Retay in my world, and I know we work together on some level, but what people don't understand in the outdoor industry, and I've been around this thing long enough that I will not say something is a good product unless it really is. Now, there's exceptions to everything. We know
Of course.
that, you have manufacturing runs that have a problem here or there. I mean, and if you sell enough products, somebody's going to have a problem with something. That's just
Absolutely.
the way things are.
Absolutely.
But I want to say this, and I genuinely mean this. When I shot this, and it's in my dad's gun case that I confiscated
That's
here
awesome.
and refinished. I've got a 220s and a 12 in here, Retay shotguns. The 12 gauge made me look like the best dove hunter on the field the first time I took it hunting.
Hey man, that's a good problem to have. I mean, we definitely tout ourselves of having a straight shooting shotgun because of our barrel technology and everything else. But it definitely, a lot of us grew up shooting flat rib guns. So when you jump back to a flat rib gun and you actually realize, hey, I can hit what I'm shooting at and not having to play the mind game, it helps out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Jesse, I apologize if I've already told you this story, but it was opening day dove season a couple years ago. I took the gun out. I'm sitting, and we always hunt on my family farm. My dad plants a dove field. He has these guys over, blah, blah,
That's
blah.
awesome.
So, but dad and I always sit side by side. So it's pretty much, hey, Dad's you to the right, I'm to the left. If it's in the middle, just here we go. So one of my dad's good buddies, he sits on this one part of the field every time. It's just one little point that sticks out. And there were birds flying between him and I. And after about 5 or 6 times, he yelled at me, "Stop." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "You're killing all the birds that are closer to me than they are you."
That's amazing because, one of the and obviously we'll get into this a little bit more. One of the draws from us, because like you said, you don't stand behind a product that you don't believe in. We don't like to work with people that we don't believe in that have the same values as us, right? And that maybe sounds a little crazy to some people because we do. We like to work with like-minded people who have the same kind of outlook on the outdoor world as we do. For us to hear you say that back, and that's a legacy thing. You guys do that every year. That's what a lot of our outdoor industry is missing, right? So that single day a year, you guys. I mean, I know you're on the road a ton. I'm on the road a ton. Will is here in the office 99% of the time. We miss that connection to what it was 20 years ago, right? And I've talked about it before with my granddad, and we used to have like opening day of dove season. That was it. You had nothing else to do. There was no reason to look at a calendar. That was what we did, and that's really cool to hear that you have that same kind of pretty cool. Year after year annual event, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, and that's what I grew up doing. I mean, I grew up with a shotgun or BB gun, then a shotgun in my hand before I did anything else, before a bow, before a deer rifle, you name it. So that took me back to like that's where my roots were. My grandfather and my father, they grew up, both of them, literally hunting quail and doves in South Georgia. There were no deer, there were no turkeys back then. So that's what you did. And so me coming into that, world as I did, I didn't get to experience this, when the wild quail were just everywhere down here. I was too young, but and that slowly, went backwards for a while, and now they're making a good comeback.
That's awesome.
But that was what I could relate to as a little boy, because that's what I was exposed to. Yeah. And so sitting by my dad and my grandfather on dove fields and stuff like that, that's what I cut my teeth on. So that just you've got to go back to where you started at times. Right. It doesn't matter how old you get or where you go and what you do. You've got to get back to day one sometimes. Yep. And it just connects you right back.
You can't see how far you're going unless you know where you came from, right? And that's what we joke about it a lot, especially in the deer hunting world. Me personally, and I think we've talked about this, haven't hunted a deer in over 10 years. I lost the passion for it. Mm-hmm. And that just really goes to show my granddad. My granddad was a very pivotal part in my life and raised me for the most part. He was a father figure to me. And that time we had deer hunting, there was one thing that stuck out in my mind. He said, look, the day that and now granted, I grew up with some outlaws, by the way. Let's just get that out there. Like, outlaw of all outlaws was my family. We were known for it. He said to me one time, and it was just in passing, he said, the day that I lose that adrenaline rush and that feel of hunting deer and killing a deer, whether it be a doe or a West Virginia 11 point, I'm done, right? And it was October of 2008, and I had led a 135-inch, 8-point, walk underneath my stand, never even thought about grabbing the bow. I knew that was it for me. And that was where I had to stop, got out of it completely. Now, anything with feathers, I'll chase anywhere around the world. Yeah. But, my little boy's 5 and he'll be growing up and getting into deer hunting, which he already is. Look, you're part of the problem, by the way, because when we watch the Backwoods Life, it's like, Dad, when can we deer hunt? When can we go deer hunting? I've been trying to hold him off a little bit because I'm not ready for it, but we're coming back around on that. But like you said, it's that grounded root. And for me, I'm excited to get back involved with it with him, but I got out and I just didn't have any reason to really deer hunt anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm a seasonal guy.
Right.
And I say that to the sense where right now, all I'm thinking about is shooting a gobbler in the face. that is it. You can say, hey, I got a 200-inch deer that you can go shoot in the morning. I'm like,
have at it.
All right. It's just that I changed that way. And by into May, I don't want anything to do with a turkey anymore. I'm done with it. All I want to do is sit at home and grill chicken.
That's right.
It's like I need a break then, and then you get closer to September, then
fires right back up.
It's time to go. And that doesn't mean that, you lose passion for what you're doing. No. It just means that, hey, you've got to miss it a little bit to realize how much you love it.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
100%. And I think it was the last day of waterfowl season this year. We hunted together on that Monday morning. Yep. And I think both of us, when we walked out of the impoundment that day, we looked at each other and said, well, it's time for turkeys, Yeah. So it flipped on in January for us, and we just got done at the NWTF event down in Nashville, and which was awesome. And if you can't get fired up, after listening to turkey calls for 3 straight days for 10 hours a day, you ain't ready to turkey hunt. So we just got our voices back, by the way, because we were yelling over top of all the calls all day long. We replaced great spot, great location, right in the middle of about 15 call makers. So it was a good time for us.
You needed these noise canceling.
Yeah. Oh man, did we ever? So never knew we could get tired of listening to calling, but that was by day 3, you're ready to go.
Yeah. That's a fun show. I didn't make it up there this year. This is probably the first one I've missed in a while, or obviously other than the COVID year. Yeah. I just had too much going on, but next year, we'll be back.
Man, it's a great time.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's like in NASCAR season. If anybody out there is NASCAR fans, they start off with the Daytona 500, which in my opinion is like the best race of the 100%. I could care less after that. So it's like NWTF is the Daytona 500 of turkey season.
That's it.
And it gets things kicked off, and everybody's ready to go.
Everybody flips that switch that weekend in Nashville.
Exactly. Yep. And it doesn't matter if it's snowing and 12 degrees outside. When you leave there, you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Well, we got home and there was literally snow on the ground. So we, being in Maryland, it's still a little chilly. Now, granted, today, they always joke if you don't like the weather in Maryland, wait 15 minutes because it'll be something you like. We were 20 degrees yesterday.
Yep.
70 today.
And see, we were the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yesterday, I was on a mower. It was 80 degrees, and today I think it's 54 outside. So,
yeah, good swing.
Thanks for sending that.
Yeah. Well, look, it comes from you, so we're just getting your remnants now. So
now our 10-day doesn't look too bad. It looks like a little warmth's going to stay around for a while now.
They're saying here by Monday it's supposed to be 90.
Whew. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, that's too much too fast. And see what'll happen is it'll do this and it'll go back down.
Really? About the first day of turkey season, it'll drop back to 40.
This is how crazy George is. For opening day of turkey season before I've hunted, it was 98 degrees. And opening day of turkey season I've hunted before, and the high was 48 degrees.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
So there's no rhyme or reason. It's roll the dice and see what happens.
That's it, man.
But I've killed turkeys in both conditions, so it doesn't matter.
We've killed them with snow on the ground before up here, which is
I think last year it might have been 40 on our opening day.
As a high at noon. Yeah, it was
cold.
Yeah.
They were quiet.
And that I was like that last year. It was at daylight. It had a bad. We're just talking now, but at daylight it was the forecast was supposed to have like a 20-25 mile an hour wind. So we went in anticipating, hey, it's going to be pretty rough, but it was supposed to be clear most of the day. And so I always go with my dad opening weekend of turkey season. And so I took him. We set up on this little clearing. It's now a food plot, but it was just kind of a cut back then. I said, Dad, there's been a turkey in here every day, just about. There's strut marks all over. He's going to come. Because my dad, he doesn't like to. Not that he won't go after him a little bit, but he's getting older, bad knees, bad back. He's had knee replacements, but he can still go. But he likes to go sit and wait on the turkeys to come to him.
Right.
Which is,
he's not running and gunning anymore.
No, and that drives me crazy sometimes because if they're not gobbling and doing their thing, I'd rather go fishing.
That's right.
Right.
But I said, okay, Dad, we're going to go sit. We're going to wait. And we sat in a little area I had made for him, and we sat there, and man, we just got lucky because right there at daylight there was no wind. It was bluebird, clear sky, and there was really birds gobbling in all directions.
That's awesome.
So
I remember seeing that video. Actually.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know how the story ends.
Yeah.
The gobbler comes right in there. You know, he's hunting with his 410.
Yep.
You know, with no choke.
Fixed barrel.
I don't even know. I guess it's just a full
fixed barrel.
That thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know he's shooting number 4 lead shot, just old bird shot, and so his goal is like he wants to. I don't know if we can say it on your podcast, but we can say it on mine. He wants to see their balls when he shoots them.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm with him, and trust me, that our listeners they've heard worse, but we're the same way. I mean, you know, the technology advancements we have in shot shells right now is incredible, right? And we all know this with TSS loads and everything else.
It's insane.
I want to feel it, you know, and I want to win the game. And I know that's probably the little bit of the narcissist in us as turkey hunters. Like, I don't really have a need to shoot him at 60, right? I want to make sure that we win that game, and inside of 10, man, I'm in, you know. But now with a 410 and lead shot, you probably might need him inside of 20. So,
yeah, I think the farthest shot that he's actually the quick story on the first time he decided he wanted to kill a turkey with that 410, had 2 gobblers full strut at 25 yards.
Nice.
Picks one out, pulls the trigger. One of the birds gobbled, the other one never broke strut.
Really?
The pellets just went wherever. Didn't even mess with it. I didn't even see a feather. I said, I think we need to get them a little closer. So
that's awesome.
So since then, I think he's killed about 20 with that gun now, and every one of them has been inside 20 yards.
Oh yeah.
And we've done a lot of fun things with that.
That's awesome. Well, on your side, I mean, I'll ask the question back to you. So it sounds like, you know, your dad and your granddad were obviously, big reasons why you got in the hunting world, right? I mean, that's where you probably started hunting at. What was your next step? I mean, a lot of people always want to know, and, you know, we see it right now with social media, and this is not a knock on anybody, but everybody's a big deal in their area. We joke about it all the time, right? How did you make that jump? And it's been some time, you know, it was 15 years ago, like you said. How did you make that jump from making it a recreation to your passion and your job?
And it's funny because I was on a podcast not too long ago, and this was the fight. And I'm off topic just for a second, but the gentleman I was on the podcast with, really, he didn't hunt. He just moved to Texas. He got his podcast going. He was an actor in Hollywood.
Really?
And he reached out to me through LinkedIn because he had seen the success of Backwoods Life through LinkedIn and wanted to know my story.
Oh, cool.
So it's the same similar question what you asked, and nobody ever asked those kind of questions.
Yeah.
Like they ask you how you got your start, but never how the flip switch, right?
Yeah.
Or the switch flip.
Right.
So I hunted growing up and everything with my dad, granddad's, aunts, uncles, cousins, mom, and everybody that wanted to go hunting, we went hunting. Right. And fishing. But when I got to I played baseball for a long time, and just you and I have talked about that. Yeah. And, in the spring, you don't get to turkey hunt if you're playing baseball. And in the fall, you get to hunt a little bit.
Well, if you do, you turn out like my college career, which was very short, and that's where, you know.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah. One year.
1 year.
But with that being said, I got away from hunting during high school. Like I went enough to just say, like a couple times a year I'd shoot one deer or something like that, and I may go dove hunt one time. And it wasn't anybody's fault but my own, because you're in high school, you're doing high school stuff, you're chasing girls, and you're playing sports, and hunting's just there.
The life hits you fast at that point.
Exactly. Right. And honestly, college was similar. I mean, college, everybody that goes to college knows you can have as much fun as you want to in college. Now, some people don't make it through that part of life as far as, being successful in college.
They should put a disclaimer on that, by the way.
Exactly. like you're not ready for college until you're out there and you're after it. But college is actually where the switch flipped to me for hunting. Because when I got to college, I had a lot of fun. I had, my friends there and all that, but I was missing something. I was missing home. I was missing that outdoors, really is what it boiled down
and
to.
You went to so where did you went to Valdosta?
Yeah, I went to Valdosta State.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not far from home, but then I got into deer hunting. Like, it just hit me that I love to deer hunt. And so then I started going back home and going with my dad and my uncles and grandfathers and cousins. And we had a hunting lease, and that was the weekend thing. So instead of, I do the college thing during the week. Come Friday afternoon, I'm headed home. Right. Where, a lot of people stay at college and party all weekend. I just never did that. I went to the hunting camp. We had a good time over there.
Nice. Right.
And then from that, honestly, my dad growing up, he had a video camera back when you used the
shoulder
VHS
ones.
Yeah, exactly. So he had one of those, and he just video. Like, I love my dad to death, but watching some of his early deer videos was painful because you would sit there and watch a doe for like an hour. He's like, watch this video,
bouncing around.
Well, I mean, and you're sitting there watching this and like, okay, Dad, there's a deer, but man, I got it on video for an hour. Yeah,
which was unheard of.
Speaking of that, he just tried to call me.
You're talking about.
He knew I was talking about it. But from that video part, while I was in college, I bought me a small little. It's like back when the high video camera days were smaller. And I just to take hunting and videos a few deer and just have a good time with it. And then when I met Kevin, who I do Backwoods Life with. Kevin's background is in video production, so he had all of the know-how to take whatever we could get and
put it
make chicken salad out of it, out of the chicken crap. So there was a big learning curve there, but that's how Backwoods Life got started, and it was all because of the environment I was in and seeing even those old videos that Dad made, and then playing around myself and then meeting Kevin. Yep. And to be honest with you, I mean, that was. This turkey season will be 18 years ago when Kevin and I met.
Wow.
In,
so that was
2004.
That was a quick switch then, because you've been. How many seasons has Backwoods Life been
on? This fall will be 18 seasons.
That's crazy. So you guys, I mean, it was immediate. Like, you guys figured it out, said, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and then boom, you're flying with it.
Well, that's right. And when Kevin and I met, we met actually at a hunting store in Florida. Right before turkey season, they were having like a little turkey day or whatever. So we crossed paths, and Kevin was actually there to talk with another guy about making video. This is back when DVDs were real popular, I mean, and I know like Real Tree and Primos and Mossy, I mean, they've made millions off DVDs.
They were on every end cap in Walmart you could ever imagine. Yeah,
exactly. So they hated to see those things go, but now everything's digital and all. But that's all we were going to do. We were going to just try to do something out of Florida and Georgia, make our own little niche and just basically make DVDs, build us a nice little website to sell our DVDs on, and be some redneck guys. And next thing you know, we're freaking on TV. So
making $10 a pop being a local guy versus running. Gosh, man, I mean, one of the things for us is that we grew up in that time, right? So we're a little behind you on the age, but we grew up in the aspect of we couldn't just jump on Instagram. Growing up, we're the last of those guys, right? Because everybody that's younger than us now, they had Instagram, they had Facebook. I remember Facebook.
Facebook.
My senior year in high school, when I finally found out that I was going to be able to go to college and play baseball, that college didn't even have Facebook yet because it was still oriented to all your college emails and all. So that was not around for us. I mean, we didn't have that way to take in information. We joke about it a lot. I just got to spend some time in WTF with one of my heroes, and he knows this, and I've kind of geeked out with him a little bit. But Eddie Salter, I grew up watching those videos, and my granddad and my uncles had them all. When we were cutting up deer on Saturdays, that's what was on the TV. We didn't have cables. We were rerunning VHS tapes of Monster Bucks, or watching Eddie Salter and TK and Mike and those guys. That's how I learned how to hunt. Past what I learned from my granddad and those guys. Like I said, I learned to hunt the right way versus how they hunted. But that's how we consumed information. So it's really neat to see now how much outreach you have. And, we see the statistics all the time. You meet millions and millions of people right now. You're fantastic on social media. You've putting this all together. So as I guess the thing, jumping from Backwoods Life DVDs in your local, hunting store, your first time in the break that you got, what stands out in your mind when the first time somebody's like, man, we want to take this to TV? Did you just kind of like, nah, man, we're done? Or like,
well, the direction we went is Kevin worked at a local, I think it was CBS or ABC affiliate down in Florida. Cool. And he was doing production work and everything there. So he got to digging around and saying, how much would airtime cost? Like, what would it cost for Backwoods Life to be on TV? And so I think our first year, our airtime, because we found three stations that we could air on. It was Fox affiliate out of Tallahassee, Florida, Albany, Georgia, and Columbus, Georgia, I think were the three. Okay. So it's right here in our backyard. Yeah. And I bet our total budget, like all the bills we had and everything the first year, was maybe $13,000.
Wow.
Now, but you got to think about it. We were working full time and using vacation time to go hunting, and we couldn't rub two nickels together and get a penny. We didn't have anything back then. So we scratched and clawed and we figured it out, and we did that for, I think, a year or 2 years. I can't remember. But then there was a network called the Men's Channel that used to be on satellite. Okay. So you had Outdoor Channel was already there, but we couldn't play on Outdoor Channel. Yeah. Like that was way out of our league. I mean, that's Bill and David and Michael and all them guys. That's not us. Yeah. So we do our thing, and we somehow managed to scratch up enough money to go be on national TV, and we were on that Men's Channel. And then next thing you know, we're on Pursuit Channel, they're on Sportsman Channel, and it just kind of snowballed over time. But I told this story not too long ago, but there was a time where we didn't think we were going to make it. I mean, there were days where we look at each other and say, how are we even going to pay for anything? Like, how are we going to get there? Because I'm not knocking anybody else out there that had the big name companies behind them pushing their way through. That's just, you're blessed in that situation. But we never had that. We had nobody. Right. It was, hey man, here, give me $5 here for advertising. $20 here for advertising.
You were still paying people for advertising at that point.
No, we were doing anything we could.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it was just one of those things that we started out with just wanted to see ourselves to be on TV for one day,
That's awesome.
And so anyway, we pushed through, and we got to a point where literally, I remember the day Kevin came to my house, and we didn't think we were going to be able to do it anymore. And I wish, if Kevin's version of the story, he said he cried a little bit on the way home. So, I mean, it was a pretty rough day. Yeah. But it's crazy because we went and hunted at a place in Florida, and we did a show, and Kevin killed a hog and my dad killed a hog, and we aired that show. And when that show aired, the guy that owned that place called us and said, I want to run a commercial with you guys because I sold so many hunts.
Really?
Like he said, I got people wanting to hog hunt like there's no tomorrow down here now. And so that was the block.
We're on to something here, yeah.
that was enough revenue there.
Very cool.
To get us down the road.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't know how many years ago that was now, but I mean, that was just one example of every time we didn't think we were going to make it, that we got what we needed, not necessarily what we wanted. Right. And I think anybody that, if you go out there and you start your own business, you try to do something you love and turn it into a living. It doesn't matter if it's mowing lawns.
Yeah.
You don't need to look at what the other guys are doing and make that your want. I want what this guy has. You need to settle for what you have, capitalize on that, and then you'll get what you need and go the direction you're supposed to go.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more with that because, we're a little unorthodox in the way that we've started and where we're at too, right? So we're not, we're not an underbrand of another large company. We're the black sheep. We're by ourselves. We're kind of the independent artist, if you would. And we can understand, Chris and I have talked a lot, and it was the same thing. So Chris Handy, our owner, started out of a passion, right? This was a garage thing when it started. And now we're, in this illustrious office of podcasting. But, it's cool to hear that because a lot of people, man, I think maybe it comes too easy sometimes now to get the recognition. We had one of our good friends, Jim Caesar, out of Louisiana. The kid has been, I can't talk enough about how great of a person he is and how hard he's worked to get where he is in his, notoriety on Instagram and social media platforms. But it wasn't always like that for him, and the same thing for you guys. You had to work twice as hard because you couldn't just put a video out on YouTube and say, hey, here's, 100 million people can go see this. It had to be a grind. And we respect that a ton, man, because, there's some things that haven't lasted in the outdoor business as much as you have and Kevin has with the Backwoods Life. And that's what's so cool about it because you can see, TV shows kind of come and go, right? And they're huge for a little bit and then they fall off and then they're back and whatever. You guys have been solid as a rock since you started. And that's a big testament to what you guys have done and how much you've worked hard for that. So
I was going to say, a lot of that leads back to where you came from, and you don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be able to carry right on through.
Yeah, we know where we came from because we're still there. So
yeah.
Well, I'm not far down the road from where it was.
Yeah,
but I mean, and I appreciate all that. And you're right. I mean, it's a different world today. I mean. Yeah. One viral post now can change your dynamic of your direction of what you're going to do. Yeah. And I'm not knocking anybody that, they built their fan base off of, that. Yeah. I do believe that, and you guys know, I mean, when you're in the trench and you're pushing hard and you're giving it everything you have and you just wake up every day thinking, how can I better what I'm doing?
Absolutely.
Then you're doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it just to try to make money.
Right.
You're not doing. And from a Backwoods Life standpoint, and I'm 99% sure Kevin and I are on the same page. I think about this all the time. What's going to happen to this when I'm gone? Because there's going to be one day when I'm going to be. I can't do this anymore. Right. But I do love the thing about technology. It's always going to be there.
Yeah, it never goes away now.
50 years from now. 100 years from now, whatever, your kids or their grandkids are going to be, they could be sitting on whatever Google is then,
who knows,
and run across a video of me and my dad turkey.
Absolutely.
It lives
good
forever.
And bad, by the way, because some things do live forever on the internet, right? So that's why we stay on this side of the camera.
Yeah.
So,
well, it is what it is.
No, it's been great, man. And honestly, it's cool to get to know you. And as our you call it a working relationship or whatever. Our thing is we're family around here, and we have the family values as a company to work with. Like we said, we work with people because we believe in them and the like-mindedness that we have, right? And I think if we all rolled into a deer camp together, if I come out of retirement, we would pick up right where we left off, 20 years ago, because that's the kind of people we are, and we really appreciate that about you guys too, because it's wholesome, it's truthful, and there is no, there's really no stick to it, honestly, and we can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that, and I agree with you, man. I mean, I say this all the time. If you go to a hunting camp for 3 days with somebody, you know right quick if you're going to be buddies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and for everything that we've done over the years and places we've been, I mean, you always have those people. I met some of my best friends to this day at hunting camps in different states. And I've met some people that I hope I never see again.
Yeah.
Now, anybody that listens to this, if you think that's you, then that's not my fault. That's your fault.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, that's kind of the same thing of how Will and I, Will, and I'll give Will's background a little bit. as an outdoorsman, Will's done it since he was no years old, right? It's been born into him. His family has been in the outdoor world. His dad, they've run commercial charters out of Maryland. They've done, the guiding on the hunting side. And Will was in the marine automotive world for a little bit.
Yeah.
As simple as it was hunting and fishing that introduced us together. Right. And when I had finally moved down here and Retay was starting on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Will was a person that I knew in the first 15, his head will swell up here, but in the first 10 minutes of meeting him in a little shack out behind his house where he was building lures at, because that's what he was doing at that time, was building, lures for rockfish on the bay here. Y'all call them striped bass. And that's how we met each other, was through that. And then that kind of spawned, the whole, hey man, we really need somebody to come in here and help on the service side. And there was nobody else in the world that I felt comfortable. That was my baby at that point, right? Because we've built a very good relationship with our customer base in the service world. I had a hard time splitting with that to move on to the next thing, right? So Will, knowing him through the hunting and fishing world, when we didn't get to hunt together until later and even fish together until later, but knew that was a guy that we could turn over that position to and have no problems with it. So now that he'll be gloating the rest of the day about this, we'll let him go. But
I'll ride home smiling.
So, but I agree with you. And like you said, though, there's definitely people that I would never want to work with again after being in hunting camp or even being around them in general. So.
Yeah, and that's life. That's anything you do.
You can't help it.
They're just. Yeah. I'm one of those. I wear my feelings on my sleeve pretty easily, and Jesse, you and I've talked enough. I just lay it out there, and
that's it.
You're either gonna like me or you're not, and I think most people do. At least that's what they tell me. Unless they don't, and they're just lying to me. So that's fine. I don't care.
No, hey, everybody wakes up in the morning and is fine with it. So it's a humbling thing for you to say that, honestly, because you are in the public spotlight and you do have people critiquing everything. Great question for you. What's the one thing that people, and you may look back at it and be like, man, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. What's the one thing? Because everybody, you could literally cure cancer and somebody's going to be like, wow, well, there goes the population, right? What's the one thing that kind of sparked up in your world where you got a lot of grief from, that you were like, man, I was just trying to, get this film shot or whatever it was?
It's not just one case. I think the biggest thing that causes me the most frustration anyway now, and it's a recurring theme, is on social media. It's no matter what I do or what anybody out there, really, not just me. Anybody in the spotlight somewhat that there's an audience going to see. I can kill 170-inch deer, and then everybody's going to say, oh, you killed it in a high fence, you killed it over a corn pile, anybody can shoot, outfitter, guided hunt deer, blah, 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 blah. That is, like, to me, I say this a lot. I say those are the most miserable people in the world.
Have to be.
That have to go on social media and say things like that. Like, even if you think it, who cares? Nobody cares.
Your little picture there doesn't change the world. That the keyboard warriors that are out there, exactly. And we try to preach it all the time. Like, how do we're never going to stop it, right? We're going to come to that realization, because I think
going away.
We as early in the company, man, you want to talk about getting some slack. Like, I used to go through all the chat rooms, all of the Facebook message boards and all that. And I'd say maybe 2-3 in the morning, I'd be like, I can't believe that guy said that about our company, and it visibly worked on me for a while. And it still does a little bit, because I'll get in every now and then. But if we could we're all in this together, right? Every one of us is in this together. We're a very small population, people. If you hear this and you're going to type up your next, hate speech over to somebody about killing a little basket rack 8-point, that may be the biggest deer that guy's ever seen in his life, right? Mm-hmm. And I've shot a lot of deer that I'm not proud of. I ain't gonna put pictures up about it, right? But that I needed that. You don't know if this kid may be his first deer he ever killed, right? And you go on there and you're gonna slam this kid for no reason whatsoever. You know what? That's probably one license that ain't coming back. Yeah. And that's probably one more hunter that we don't have on our side, because who's going to want to put up with that?
I'll tell a quick story, just exactly what you said. And Jesse knows, Brantley Gilbert and I are good friends. We've known each other for years.
What a good person, man. And I'm not saying that from the superstardom, and he's a big star, right? He's an A-list guy. Yeah. But, man, he is a normal dude, as normal gets. I enjoy my time that I get to spend around him.
He's almost as popular as the three of us are, and he's just as cool as we are.
Yeah, his tour bus has more popularity than we do. Trust me.
Well, that's no doubt. His bus driver, Big Kev, one of my best buddies in the world too.
Big Kev, how can we give Big Kev a shout out? He'll never listen to this probably, but another
I'll send him
great
a link to it.
Okay.
I'll text him a link and say, hey, man, we talked about you on here. And he's going to sit here for 30 minutes going, man, what's this crap? Get the meat. But,
hey, we'll send Kev some more oysters down because we did that last year, man, and got him and Aaron Kaiser, hooked up and two great people, that you want to talk about. And I'm sorry to break your story up. I just wanted people to know how good that camp is.
Yeah.
Like, you see the big stories. You see him all over everything. You can't jump in your truck without hearing them. But those are some genuinely good people, and I can't wait to hear the story because I love the guys.
Yeah. So yeah, but what I was saying is, so Brantley and I hunted. Like Brantley shot his first buck ever with me.
Really?
Like sitting side by side.
That's awesome.
And it was a busted up 8-point on my farm, and it was one of those where Brantley had hunted with me a couple years, and it was back before he stopped drinking and stuff. And so those were we had fun on those trips, but man, it was kind of tough too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always something with that. And that's how you find out who your friends are. You go through stuff like that. The people that stick with you, they're your true friends. So I like to think, hey, I stuck with my buddy there through it all, and that's how we got to be as close as we are. But he came and hunted with me, and he shot this busted up 8-point buck, and we saw a ton of bucks them few days on our farm, and they were all like that. They were all busted. Finally, I was like, dude, just shoot one. Like, we're just going to shoot a deer. And you've been around Brantley enough. He loves the smell of gunpowder.
He is not shy to pull a trigger. That's for sure.
If you say shoot, you better get out of the way because it's coming. It's fixing to go. So this was right when Jason Aldean did My Kind of Party. Brantley wrote that song, album title, and Dirt Road Anthem was on that album. And then Brantley had Country Must Be Countrywide go number one. This is all throughout the years of Brantley and I getting to know each other and hunting together. And he called me up one day and said, "Hey man, I'm going to go deer hunting." Okay, well, what you want to do, man? He's like, "No, we're going to go deer hunting. I'm taking you, and we're going to go deer hunting." So we went and hopped on the bus, and we went to a high fence. I mean, it's no secret. So we went to a high fence in Ohio. This was, I don't know how many years ago now, but I remember going up there, and we hunted, and Brantley shot like a 250-inch buck. Like there's just a hey, that's what the man wanted to go deer hunting. He wanted to shoot a big deer, so that's what we did. So he shoots this deer, and I mean, he is on cloud 12, like this, and you know how excited he gets when we're hunting stuff. And so, I mean, I'm so happy for him. We're together, and the guy we're hunting with, he goes to get the side by side to bring it around. We're going to load this deer up, and literally, Brantley's just sitting there staring at this deer, and I'm sitting back, and I've killed a ton of deer. Even back then, I've killed, and I've just some good deer. I never killed a 250. I still haven't killed a 250, But he shoots this deer, and I said, "Dude, I'm proud of you, man. That's an awesome deer. You deserve it." And he just sat there and looked at it. I remember what he told me. He said, "I would never in my life think that I would be able to do this." And I think he meant shoot a deer that big,
right, but
also financially be able to do this, like to go on a hunting trip and spend a few $1,000s or whatever to shoot a deer like that he wanted to shoot. And he was so proud of that deer. So this is previous management days, but because it's been a while. But he sends that picture to them, and they post it on Facebook. Yeah, you know what's going to happen, man. The antis come out of the closet, the high fence haters come out of the closet, all this stuff, and like he was visibly like upset, and I mean he wasn't like crying about it, but I mean he was like, "Man, I didn't think it was going to go like this." He didn't. He just didn't know anybody. He was proud of his deer, wanted to show everybody, and he puts it on there, and everybody's just like, "Oh man, it takes a big man kill one in the high fence." But you don't know this guy's story. No. You don't know that he grew up hunting in North Georgia, where you might not even see a buck all year,
right? Or a deer.
And now this guy's worked his tail off since he was 15 years old,
right,
to make a career in the music industry, which is like getting struck by lightning on top of that.
Exactly right.
To afford to afford to go on this hunt.
Yeah. So instead of uplifting them, because as a community,
they tore him up.
They tore him up,
yeah.
right? And here's the other side. That guy has no time to do anything, right? He works. And this is, every day of the year, the very little bit of time he has. But that's the things that people don't think about, right? Like, well, he doesn't have the time to, at that point, especially he was in the height of his career. Like, do you think he had the time to go, check cameras, hang a stand, scout? No, not at all.
No,
so,
not at all.
like, why get on the guy about that? And you know what? There's a lot of people in this world that don't have the time or the resources, right? We're waterfowl guys. We talk about it a lot. The hardest thing in the world to do is to get into waterfowl hunting because you need everything, right? You just can't pick, like turkey hunting. Look, you go get you some $10 camo and a $5 turkey call. You can turkey hunt. Right? You can be turkey hunting. You can go to public ground and do it.
Wait a second now. I'm going to argue with you, man. you can get a $2 duck call and a shotgun shells. Go duck hunting now.
But what are you going to need, though? You're going to need some waders. You're going to be cold. You're going to need a boat to get there.
If you're tough, you can just do it.
but same thing, right? It's not always the situation. Yeah. Instead of uplifting those guys who want to get a couple days a year, because maybe that's all he has. My Brantley story is the same way. I've never seen, and I've seen a lot of guys kill ducks, right? Been on a lot of first duck hunts. To see his face when he turned around from shooting a pintail the first morning in the blind made it for me. I didn't care if we killed another duck because he was, like you said, visibly pumped up about that experience, and it was his first duck hunt ever. And we've there's video of it. I mean, they were out there recording and everything else, and to see the excitement. But he had troubles. He was supposed to be there for 2 days. Ended up only getting there for one because they had trouble. He was in like Utah and it snowed and his bus went off the road. All this other stuff. But then he made a very large financial move to get himself there to hunt for 1 day because he wanted to come and hunt with everybody. He wanted to experience it. Those are the things that people forget about, and I wish they didn't because not everybody has a 9 to 5 and they get up every day and can go check trail cameras and do everything else. These guys just want to hunt and they want to be a part of it. So let's bring them up. Let's uplift these guys. Let's get them to be a part of it. And, hey, they're your brethren, right? Like, don't hate on them. They're your brothers. And they're paying into the same money that's helping you hunt too. So,
and like I said, I think it's just there's people out there that have nothing better to do than to break others down because they're jealous or they don't have, they can't do it themselves and they're miserable with their lives. So instead of doing that to other people, go out and find something to do that makes you happy. Right. If that's hitting ducks in the head with a slingshot, nobody's going to judge. Go out there and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. DNR might judge that, but
and that's gotta be an easier alternative than getting on, hopping behind the keyboard and
going crazy,
bashing everybody else too.
Yeah,
no, it's good to hear that because you honestly, man, you've done such a great job, alleviating that from your world, right? Then you don't ever see the negativity come out, and you don't ever stand on a soapbox to tell people about it. We got nothing else to do, so we'll tell people about it, right? So we don't mind that, but man, it's been awesome to work together, and I'm excited about this year, especially because we're going to be doing a lot more together, and seeing your journey is cool, man. So we appreciate that very much. But
yeah, man, and thank you guys. I mean, I know you and I just kind of crossed paths a couple years ago now, and it's one of those things that there's a lot of events that go into place for people to cross paths. Great. If you really look at these things, and it goes back to my story about how I met Kevin, and just from that one event has got us sitting here right now doing a podcast together, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of events to get us here to be able to do this because we say it. I think every single podcast so far we said this. We are humbled as two just random guys to be able to sit down and talk to you for an hour, right? I mean, like, not a lot of people get to do that. I wish more people did because they get to know you more personally, and hopefully that's what these podcasts do. But we're humbled every day. I live my dream every day, and I'm sure you can say the same thing.
I'm literally sitting here, and if I wasn't sitting where I've got my big computer screen sitting where you can see this, I'm in my office out here. My house is like 25 yards away over there. So I would never have believed I would be sitting here right now doing this with you guys. I never believed I would have a office / man cave trophy room of my own. Yeah. And to be able to live on 10 acres of my own property. That's awesome. I mean, as a kid growing up, I grew up on the farms, my grandfather's farm, my dad's land and stuff like that. But, it's just to see all your hard work pay off, to meet guys like y'all that, good people to work with. Yeah. And that's where, I'm blessed beyond what I ever deserve. Yeah. And I just leave it at that. I sit here and look at all these deer on the wall and stuff like that. 15-year-old Michael would never have dreamed to have 170-inch deer on the wall. Yeah, right. I just never thought that would happen.
That's so cool, man.
And then you see that picture right there.
Yeah.
Me and Dad, that's South Dakota.
Last year.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Last year.
Which, by the way, some of the most
turkeys.
Picturesque pictures I've ever seen with the backdrop that you guys had was awesome.
Yeah. That property is unbelievable. Mr. Steve Halverson hunts. All he does is pheasant hunts, and he lets Dad and I come out there and shoot turkeys.
Oh, cool.
Whenever we want to. So, we appreciate his invite, but you can see that Retay right there in that bottom of that picture, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. No, but, and look, that's what we said about the whole podcast thing, man. We never wanted it to be a sales pitch, but we appreciate that.
Right.
That's the connection, right? We over a gun that we get to share time together. But one thing's in common: we all love the outdoors. We all love the passion that we have. I was digging ditches 5 years ago, literally digging ditches. I worked for Harlan Shoemaker, who was one of the best people in my life. He was very instrumental in my life and getting me kind of going a little bit, right? And was happy for me the day that I told him that, hey, I'm taking this crazy leap, right? I had a great job. I was working with my best friends in the world every day, and Harley was like family to me. He told me he was happy for me, right, to take the leap, because I picked up two kids, a 2-year-old and a brand new kid, to make the journey down here to be a part of this thing. Didn't even have a job when I got here, by the way. We didn't even, Chris didn't even have money to pay us at that point, right? We had no contracts, no nothing. And now we get to sit here and do this. You were turning wrenches 2 years ago.
Yeah. I was probably in a bilge of a sailboat fixing a bilge pump this time 5 years ago.
And we're lucky, right? And I know, like you said, luck, how you met Kevin, pure luck, because who meets somebody who works on a national broadcasting, company every day? Not normally happens, right?
At a hunting store.
At a hunting store, yeah. So, and kind of the same thing for us, man. So I love to hear that, and I love that we can share that bond, over being just genuinely lucky to be a part of what we are, man. And we're excited about it.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. This industry is so big, but yet it's so small. And got some of the best people in the world are working here and do what we do, and are work alongside us and stuff. I had a similar deal with the same thing. When I was working full time at the Valdosta State here when I graduated, that was my first job, and I remember I called my dad one day and said, "Hey, I got a chance to work in the outdoor industry," and he said, "Well, are you sure about that? Is that what you want to do?" Because I had a state job, benefits.
Kush, man. 20 years, got a pension, right?
Everything's guaranteed. Yep. And I said, "Dad, I'm going to do it." He didn't want me to do it. I don't know if he'll admit to that this day, but he was kind of pretty skeptical, because that's that old school mentality. You just go find something to do, you work hard, you retire, and that's life. And I just asked him, I said, "Well, I got to ask you one question before I really make this decision." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "Have I got a home to go to if this don't work?" And he said, "Absolutely." And I said, "Okay, I know what I'm doing now."
That's it, man. That's awesome.
And that's that. And I was married at the time, and my wife, I told her, I said, she's been supportive, man.
Yeah.
She's been great to be behind me all these years doing all this stuff and let me go and do, and not really complaining much. But it was one of them. I was like, "Hey, honey, this is what I'm going to go do. And if it's okay with you, of course. And then worst case scenario, we can go to the farm and live with my parents if, the wheels fall off." And she was like, "Well, could be worse, I guess."
Yeah. We probably all don't talk enough about why we're all really here. That's because of our wives. Will's wife and my wife work together. They're teachers together.
Yeah.
Yes.
My wife has been the most supportive person in my entire life. Literally, from young to old, whatever. She's been so supportive for me chasing a dream to be a part of this, and it is a dream for us, and we get to be a part of that every single day now. but without her, without, your wife, like,
No way.
yeah. And you had brand new kids. And I mean, I don't know if your wife is as gracious as ours or not, but
Yeah.
now also I work for Harlan Shoemaker, and he told me one thing to never forget. He said, just remember, every one of them got a little crazy in them. Doesn't matter if they're a little crazy or they're a lot of crazy or they hide their crazy. They all got some crazy in them. But for us, and I'm sure it's for you, we've been very lucky to have that support behind us, and it's been really cool. So.
Yeah.
I agree 100%, but I also believe that we're the reason some of that crazy comes out.
Absolutely.
Admit it or not, or we may be the only reason it comes out.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 kids
yeah,
running around the house. They definitely draw some crazy out too. So.
Yeah.
I heard that. I don't have any kids, and it just wasn't in the cards for us to do that. So they're like, for years and years, it was like, when are you going to have kids? Are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? Then now everybody's like, thank God, you're so lucky you don't have kids.
I love mine to death, right? I mean, they are the highlight of my life.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's
a
tough.
lot.
That's the only way to put it.
But at the same time, it's one of those things where I borrow some friends' kids, and I'll take them hunting for a day, and then I'm like, all right, here you go.
Well,
you can have them back. I'm through.
If you ever need a
good.
spot filler for the Georgia Youth Days, we got some kids that'll fill it up. So,
Yeah.
for sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Couple of years.
Well,
Yeah, a couple years.
Well, guys, I mean, I know we've been talking for almost a daggum hour now.
It's
I think
crazy,
and we're gonna have to do this again so we can actually talk about like. I did want to talk about shotguns a little bit.
Yeah, we forgot about that.
But I guess our shotgun talk for this podcast will be, if you just go get a Retay shotgun. I'll do the sales pitch so you guys don't.
All right, perfect.
Just go get a Retay shotgun, change your life, and you can thank us later.
Hey, become a part of our family, because that's what we are.
Right.
And know that if you ever have any issues physically, you can see him now. He's sitting right beside us. He is the person who takes the phone call. So if there's ever an issue, it's Will's fault, and he'll get you taken care of.
Yeah.
But we appreciate that very much.
Yeah,
and honestly,
thank you.
we have created a family, and we're proud of that. That's one thing that we've been able to do. And in considering you a part of our family, and as we grow, we couldn't have done it without you. And honestly, I mean, we say that all the time. We work hard, but man, you guys work hardest for us, and we appreciate that every single day. And we truly, from the bottom of our hearts, wouldn't be here without you guys. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it works both ways, man. I mean, we wouldn't be here without guys like y'all to make great products for us to go out and make our job easier.
Yep.
And I've got first turkey hunts March. I'll be morning of March 22nd. I'll be perched up.
Nice.
With one on my knee, ready to see what's going to go down in Florida.
You running 20 or 12 this year?
20.
20 gauge, my Mar. Hands down, my favorite gun in the line, and especially in the turkey woods with the 22-inch barrel. We can't say enough about the pattern that we get out of that gun with the drill barrel and the forcing cones that we have. Our motto is better built barrels, better shooting shotguns, right? And in the turkey woods, there is no way you can shy away from it in a lot of other aspects of hunting. With a gun that doesn't pattern well and a gun that doesn't do what you need it to do, you ain't going to get away with it in the turkey woods, and that's what we like to hang our hats on. So.
No, sure. And I've got, I'm building up my street cred. I mean, I got some of that 12 over there is knocked on some in the head, and them 20s both have knocked some in the head. So,
hey, well, maybe in the future we'll have something else for you to play around with.
Hey, let's do
Heard
it
it first.
I like it. I like it.
Awesome, man.
Well, guys, I appreciate the co-podcast.
Yeah.
It's been
I didn't really.
pleasure.
I just looked over and seen we're at an hour, and I apologize because I think we literally just spent an hour catching up and having fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll actually do an informal, or formal podcast here soon.
Well, I look at it this way. Like I've done this out of this is 40, 50 episodes now, and I don't think anyone I've done has stayed on course. We really haven't addressed any of the topics that we wanted to talk about, but we told some good hunting stories.
For sure.
If anybody listens to this, they'll know a lot more about all of us. And I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the way it is.
Hey, we're just we're 3 guys that are looking at this point have turned our attention to just shooting something in the face. So
Yeah.
take it for what it is, and we're all just ready to go hunt. So.
Yeah, turkeys are in trouble.
That's it.
You can write it down.
Maybe we'll actually sneak out of the office and kill a couple this year.
I hope so.
Yeah, if you run out of things to do,
hey,
a lot warmer down here.
We may have to bring in the big guns because Will's got a bird that is
pain in the butt.
Man, we I don't even know how to explain this thing.
He's got to be 30 years old
easily. Yeah, easily.
His beard's gray as mine.
It's terrible. And we gave him a good run last year for a couple days, but he's smarter than we are, hands down. He will pick any way to get out of a situation. And by the way, it's not a big piece of ground. I mean, you can kill him on the driveway any day you drive in and out of it, but you can never kill. Like
your dad would enjoy hunting this farm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there ain't no running and gunning there.
No, you sit down and stay put and hope they come the right way.
I have seen my dad on the opening day of turkey season in Georgia. I sat in the blind with him. We got in there at like 6:30 in the morning, and I picked him up at 5:30 p.m. He sat there all day, and he shot one at 5:15.
Really?
Yeah.
In the morning?
That's when it. No,
in the evening. Okay.
He said, 6:30 a.m. He sat there almost 12 hours. He said, I'm not leaving here until I shoot a turkey or it gets dark. I'll text him like, hey, you good? You need anything?
Ain't dark yet.
Nope. And then he texts me, so you can come get me now. I just killed him.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, maybe we ought to post him up on your place.
Yeah. We'll get him taken care
He's
of.
retired. He has nothing to do.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of him.
Seriously, I mean, it's ruining everything.
He's got to go. You can't do anything else with him.
He's got everybody else run off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's the boss of us right now. But look, I don't post very much. We kill that bird this year, everybody's gonna know about it.
Yeah.
For sure.
There you go. Man. Houdini is dead.
Houdini. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much him too.
Yeah.
So, well, good deal, man. Hey, again, thanks for everything. We appreciate the time we get to spend together with everybody that comes on our side of the podcast. But man, I really had fun today. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, same here, man. Thanks, guys. We'll wind this thing up and we'll catch up again soon.
Okay.
Sounds good,
man. Appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks, guys.
Raised in the South, I come up from nothing, I figured it out. They say when I sing, I'm the voice of the South. Give thanks to the Lord, cause I'm making it out. I can't believe I'm living my dream. Early morning flights, the skies are filled up with these whistling wings. Sights that dreams are made of. Look at God's creation. Dust coming in as we struggle to load. Kid number 2 is a hell of a load. Shots going off as they dropping the hood. It's so cold and my call keeps ticking. I'm being precise with the notes I'm picking. My lead is true, so no duck I'm missing. Full choke, so I'm good at a distance. I shoot a retay. I shoot a retay. I shoot a retay. I shoot a retay. Brush up the blind, ain't wasting no time. Yeah, we gotta grind. Hitting the trees and bring a few digs and passing to me. Ain't no Beyonce, but these ducks in formation. This ain't no heist, but I swear green's what we chasing. Hey, you ever drove a boat in the morning? Can't think, can't see, can't breathe, cause the cold in the fog. 2 strokes and 40s. Start up your engine, get ready to party. It's a dangerous run to the hole. You know where I'm from, so you know how it goes. 25 Mercs and 25 Zeus. Outboard spit smokes when it's cold. This is a timber run, something like timber run. Dodging these logging these trees. Running so fast like we racing for cash in the water. So cold and it's starting to freeze. Could you believe the sight that you see with your eyes when the matters descend through the trees? My soul is at peace. I get so high when the ducks start to fly. I can see what the angel could see. Please do not blame it on me. The ducks don't commit, then we rearranging the digs. Come on, let's turn up the heat. They still ain't committed, then we got emotion the digs. Block swinging left, block swinging right, but keep them in sight. And if we not doing it right, no second chance, and we just might ruin the flight. We kicking water, ducks dropping harder, tell them kick hard. One him gave in, but still got 10. Working circle, got me nervous. Ain't no stress, we on the X. Watch them banking, swerving, curving. We gotta finish these ducks, they coming in. Watch them run straight out of luck. I'm yelling, take them guns, I'm blazing. 1 + 10 came in, amen. That's a whole lot of mileage. Now 1 left out, we screaming, shout. 1 shot before man limit, I won't forget it. Yeah. Now we headed back to the ramp. Ducks in the bow of the boat. Chest sticking out like a champ. Chest sticking out like a champ. Raised in the South, I come up from nothing, I figured it out. They say when I sing, I'm the voice of the South. Give thanks to the Lord, cause I'm making it out. I can't believe I'm living my dream. Early morning flights, the skies are filled up with these whistling wings.